Alright, what is up everyone? My name is Corey and we're off on another adventure. And as you can see by the sign behind me, our new adventure takes place in Nashville. We're actually at the Nashville Zoo. We're going to check out and see what they have to offer. Alright, so let's go. So as soon as you actually walk into the zoo, they've got a nice little habitat for you to view Hyacinth Macaws. So they're right over here. Let's take a look at them for a minute. It's like he's saying hi to us. That's probably not the case, but that's what it kind of looks like. Very cute. These macaws are really blue color, very pretty. I don't know that I've ever seen macaws that are this color. It's like a bluish purple color. Not only are the birds stunning, but their habitat is also really pretty as well. Got several waterfalls located around here. It's nice and shady. A little pocket where the sun can come through. This really is really gorgeous as you're walking through the beginning of the zoo. It's all nice and wooded with these nice pathways. It's really nice. So far I can say that I'm super impressed. So I have actually been at the zoo before, but it has been a long time.
Running after that.
So I'd probably say it's probably at least 10 years. From what I remember, it's pretty nice. It wasn't super big, but it's not terribly small either, so it's a nice size in between. And they do have some unique features out here at the zoo that I've not seen at other zoos. So, all right, let's keep exploring. So as you come out into this main area, they actually have a big open area where you can actually do different activities. Apparently they have a zip line, you see it just go by. And they have carousel, stuff like that, which is pretty typical at a lot of zoos, but this is a really beautiful zoo. All right, so one of the unique things that is at this zoo is this actually has a historical farm on this property, and they have kept the historical building, or the main historical building, which I guess is the house, here at the property. So they kept it preserved, and you can actually view it. So let's go do that now. And as you walk up, this is a first glimpse of the house. So this is a pretty old house. It was built by Colonel Michael C. Dunn and was completed around 1810. And it's the second oldest residence in Davidson County. And apparently it is built in the federal style. All right, so you can actually do guided tours or you can do self-guided tours during certain times. If you look on the zoo's website, it will tell you what times you can do all of those. While we're getting a closer look at the exterior of the house, I wanted to elaborate on the style of the building that I was talking about earlier. So apparently now it is considered an Italianate style opposed to federal style, and this was a change because of the front and the back porches that were added in 1876. Ultimately, 5 generations lived in this house from the same family. All right, so as you come in, there's a nice little atrium. And it looks like we can see one of the parlors off to the side, or I should say, the dining room. All right, off to the right is the parlor. Very nice. And off to the side, you've got the other part of the parlor.
You got one more.
As you come upstairs, they have one of the bedrooms. It looks like this is a secondary bedroom, which may be used for children, perhaps. And they have some artifacts on display from this era. Some old books. Looks like maybe a statue of a bear. It looks like this is the main bedroom, or at least it has some of the gentlemen's clothing. Nice four-poster bed. Nice fireplace. Chest. Wow. Heck, even look at some of the hinges on the doors. Look how ornate that is. You don't see stuff like that these days. Alright, here is a third bedroom. And this was actually the youngest sister that lived in here. She passed away in 1985. You can actually walk in this room, see some of the artifacts. Wow. Really cool. So they've actually got a deck on the back of the house, and you can look over the property and some of the supplemental buildings, including what looks to be a garden. And it is a very spacious balcony. Stunning. Interestingly enough, this house is old enough where the kitchen is not located inside of the house, so it is outside underneath this covered walkway. And here you can see the old-time stove, as well as some things to prepare your food and a table. So we come out to the back, you can see the back side of the house and that big old balcony, as well as the covered walkway we just came from and that kitchen, which is in that back building. It's a really beautiful property. Walking up, it looks like they've got a barn back here. It's probably got some carriages I think I can see. That is indeed what it is, carriage storage. So I guess you can call this a carriage house. And what is a farm without a barn and animals? So let's take a stroll in here and see what this is all about. See how these stalls are. Alright, let's walk out of here and then we'll take a peek at some of the animals, because they do have animals out here on this farm. Actually, let's beeline this way. Looks like they have a donkey out here. He's over here resting in his area. He's got a pretty decent amount of space out here. Of course, they've got cows and looks like some couple bulls back there, as well as some goats over here. See a little goat over here. I always wanted to have a goat. Unfortunately, I don't think my subdivision would care for me to have one of these. Looks like one of the donkeys might have a little bit of an itch. These guys are so cute. So they actually have a barn owl in here, in the barn. Didn't notice it earlier. So out here next to the carriage house, it looks like they got all these different farm implements housed in here. This little, I don't know, covering, we'll say. So out in the back, like I showed you, there looks to be his garden. They have lots of different things. It's like a lot of flowers. It's really neat. And to the back of this property, it looks like there is some storage for some wildlife displays. I guess they're just temporarily housing them here. Hey, what's up everyone? It's me from the future. I wanted to jump in here before this next clip rolls, just because at the time I didn't feel like I might have had the appropriate or words to really, I guess, describe adequately what I was seeing. I was kind of at a loss, and to be honest, I didn't even know if I wanted to publish the footage that I did or not, but ultimately I decided to go with it. So let's roll that clip real quick, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. And here is an old graveyard that they have on the property of 20 unknown individuals who did live at this property at one point in time. So unfortunately, this initial cemetery is actually a slave cemetery, because this house was built in the 1800s where slavery was a thing. This is where they were buried. All right, so now you've seen the footage. Honestly, like I had said before, at the time of filming, I was kind of at a loss for what I was actually viewing and how I was going to approach the subject, given the sensitivity of it. And, I actually contemplated whether or not I was going to publish any of the footage or not. Ultimately, I decided that it would be a greater injustice if I didn't actually publish the footage, because then it's like acting like it didn't happen, which is not the way that I wanted to approach it. So I figured it'd be better just to talk about it. And that's what we're going to do now. So obviously it is a slave cemetery. It was actually originally found at the zoo in 1989, so they didn't know about it, and it was found in 1989. And then they left it alone until they wanted to perform some renovations. So they relocated the cemetery to its current position that it is now in June 12th of 2014. And this original cemetery was actually located where the current ticket offices are, up at the front. So as I mentioned in the clip, the cemetery actually contains 20 graves of individuals, and they were under the age of 50, and they passed away most likely between 1830 and 1860. So this is prior to the Civil War. And in doing an analysis of the bodies when they exhumed them, they went ahead and they did some analysis, and it showed traits consistent with African ancestry. So most likely these individuals were probably slaves here at this house. With this being a house that is in the South prior to the Civil War, it's not necessarily a surprise that the family did in fact own slaves. And from what I researched, they had about 30 to 40 slaves at the property. And then, like I said, this is up until after the Civil War, and then emancipation had happened. So, unfortunately, when you're dealing with things like this, I just feel like that you need to give it as much respect that you can. But throughout history, unfortunately, there are things that we as humans have done to each other that aren't necessarily great, or even today that we continue to do to each other that are not so great either. So I just wanted to give them the decency and respect that they deserve, and one day hopefully we might actually be able to know the identities of these individuals. But they're saying at this point, with the time that's passed, I mean, we're talking about almost 150, actually it's over for 150 years old now, in the state of the remains. they don't know that they will ever be able to actually identify any of them. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't honor and respect and try to remember them the best way that we can. All right, let's move on with the coverage. Then, as you would expect, there is another cemetery. Some of the other patrons, I guess, that lived here. So some of this is still intact. Yeah, so this is the Grassmere Cemetery, and it was established in 1827 and holds 18 graves, including those of Michael Dunn, Margaret, and Elise Croft. And over here to the left of the property is the Morton House. Well, the house is basically a log cabin of wood construction, and I think it looks like it has a metal roof on top. It looks like you can actually take a peek and see inside of the room. So this house was actually occupied by Frank Morton and his family from 1919 till 1973. Which, if you really think about it, that is fairly recent in history. I got another room in this house where you can actually walk in. It's like a museum here. It looks like Frank Morton was born in 1873 or 1883. Albert was born in 1913. All right, I wanted to jump in here one last time to talk about the Morton house after we rolled those clips, just to elaborate a little bit more. So this house is actually not in its original location either. So originally it was in a different location, and then it was moved to its current location in 1876. So the house itself is comprised of remnants from the actual living quarters from some of the enslaved population that we had discussed earlier. So it's not in fact one of the actual cabins that were used to house the slaves, but I guess they tore those down and then repurposed some of the materials and may have used those in the current house that we see today. It's called the Frank Morton house because Frank Morton and his family came to work for the family on the farm in 1919 as tenant farmers. I actually didn't know what tenant farming was, so I had to look it up. So apparently tenant farming is very similar to sharecropping. So it's basically where people come to work on the land that they don't actually own, and then in exchange for living on the land, they kind of tend to the farm per se and the operation of the farm, and then they share in the profits. Hence, sharecropping, it's kind of in the name. You're sharing in the profits. Tenant farming works in the same, capacity, I suppose. The only difference is, as a tenant farmer, you have a little bit more say in what the operation of the farm is, and you get a bigger slice of the pie per se. So supposedly with tenant farming, it is supposed to be a little bit better than being a sharecropper. Either way, so like I said, Frank Morton came to work in 1919, and he worked here until his death in 1962. And then even after Frank had passed away, his family, or some of his family, still continued to work on the farm. So his son Albert worked on the farm, and I think he was here until he passed away in 1973. And then, like I had said in the video itself, if you really think about it, that's really not that far back in history. That's fairly recent. But either way, I just wanted to shed some light on that. And if you want to learn more information about the Mortons and or the history of Grassmere, I encourage you to go out on the internet and take a look for yourself. I'll link some stuff down below from where I found information, and then you can kind of look over it and educate yourself as well. I think it's good that anybody should try to learn as much as they can about, the past effectively. All right, well, let's go ahead and continue on with our normal zoo video. And there's this other building just to the left of the house as well. And from the best that I can tell, maybe this was a place to prepare meats or something, because there is meat hanging from the ceilings here. And maybe some sort of preparation table, perhaps. Not sure, but given that it's all brick, I'm guessing that this might be more recent than some of the other structures, perhaps. Well, I bet you didn't know with this zoo video you get a little bit of a history lesson too. But again, this is one of the unique things here at the zoo, and if it weren't for this family, you would probably not have this zoo in the state that it is in today. Because the lady that was working inside of the house told me that when the family died, they gave the house, I guess, to a museum, and part of the terms of that museum was to make the property available to care for animals. So eventually they turned it over to the museum, and they had an initial zoo that was here, and then the now Nashville Zoo took over the other zoo in like 1997, I want to say. So there you have it. This family is why you have the Nashville Zoo today. All right, so we are making our way towards the back of the property to see one of the more unique things that this zoo has to offer. So, all right, well, we made it. So the unique thing at this zoo is the Veterinary Center. So you can actually view some of the procedures that they perform on the animals here at the Veterinary Center. And when they have newborns, a lot of times they're in the care of humans when they're newborns. Like this zoo is known for having clouded leopard cubs, and a lot of times you can view them when they're newly born here at the Veterinary Center. So they have windows where you can look in on them, and I think they also have cameras and stuff that you can see them. So it looks like they've got some new thrush chicks. So they might be the only thing that are on display, but I can't really see them. But they were born on 9/3/24, so September the 3rd. Well, here's a lot of glass or glare on the glass, but here is one of the operating rooms where they perform work on some of the animals that you can actually watch. Like I said, this is kind of unique to the zoo, as far as I know. I don't know of any other zoos that allow you to view procedures. All right, one other thing that they've actually got up here by the veterinary hospital is a Komodo Dragon display. So if you can actually see here, there is a Komodo Dragon outside here. So pretty neat. Well, these guys aren't super active, so I don't know how riveting of content this is going to be, but at least you can see the Komodo Dragon.
Hey, little dude. He's kind of a big dude. Hey, big dude.
I was really surprised at how grown up everything is as far as trees and bushes and stuff like that is. Last time I was actually here, all this stuff was totally open, just out in the sun. You would bake. Now they've got all these pretty trees. It's all ornate, shaded. It's really remarkable. So here they have some red river hogs, and they do have some babies. So they have some little hoglets that were born on April 11th of 2024. So they're pretty young, but they're almost as big as their mom at this point. So they're hiding right now. Hopefully they'll come out. These guys are also known as bush pigs, and they are definitely found in Africa. And they live primarily in the Guinean and Congolese forests, which are rainforest. So they like to live around water, so they typically stay around swamps and rivers. Luckily, these guys are not endangered at all, and they are considered of least concern. These guys can also get up to 99 to 254 pounds when they are full grown, and they stand from 21 to 31 inches tall as an adult. They are actually primarily nocturnal, although they are very active during the day, as you can see here. They are also considered omnivores, which means they pretty much eat anything. But if you all know pigs at all, you know that to be pretty much true. They also tend to live for about 15 years in the wilds. Alright, so let's go ahead and suck in some of this cuteness with the hoglets and their mama. So apparently the babies are named Fig, Peach, Persimmon, and Clementine. All right, they are cute. Oh, you know, I love me some animal babies, so we got to see some. Who knows, there might be some more here at the zoo. Let's go and see what the rest of the zoo has. All right, this video is getting a little bit long, so I decided to go ahead and break it up into 2 videos. So hopefully you'll join me next time as we conclude our coverage of the Nashville Zoo. Well, until next time, I'll see you somewhere. Have a good one.